Oh gosh, that was something this morning, huh?
I've had some technical problems. Okay, well, we're going to try.
Mm-hmm.
We may fail.
It'll be fine.
Anyway, I think we had some topics, but since I've spent the past 6 hours trying to fix the internet, the interwebs, the tubes, man, the tubes are all clogged up. I think I got them slightly unclogged, though. So
Okay.
we're trying again. I think we had some follow up wherein I admitted to maybe overstepping my confidence level with the safety of nuclear, but then I checked myself and it turned out I was right anyway.
Uh-huh. You were.
So the 3 Mile Island.
I'm still
Well,
skeptical.
did you read the article I
I did
sent?
read the article.
The final analysis on 3 Mile Island was that so little radiation leaked out
Mm-hmm.
that the 2,000 people closest to 3 Mile Island during the meltdown got less than half of an X-ray's worth dose of radiation
Mm-hmm.
from that entire event. No additional cancer deaths were registered, and 0 deaths were registered.
Okay. But also in the article earlier, it said that there were studies done that analyzed that and that it was inconclusive, basically.
There, yeah, those things that were inclusive, they said were, I don't remember now the details, but it was not important types of
Mm.
radiation.
Okay. So you don't
So
think.
they didn't finish those studies because they were irrelevant, because they got
Mm-hmm.
data from like groundwater sources and actually testing the people, and the results from that overrode anything
Okay.
else they were doing. It's like, if you have the test from one thing that is more conclusive, why finish up the less conclusive test?
Okay. So you believe the nuclear watchdogs?
Who are you going to
I
believe?
don't know. I don't believe anyone
RFK?
anymore. I don't believe. Well, that's my point. I don't believe anyone anymore. But no,
Well,
that's
this
good
is
if that is
not new.
right. I know. No, I mean I'm glad, and because I do worry about our proximity here to this huge power plant that's overseen its lifespan, and I just
Yeah, it's
worry. I
fine. Don't worry
worry,
about it.
but I worry about everything. So,
So, as follow up, though, what happened to Vax Corner? Do you want to do a Vax Corner now?
oh, Vax. Yeah, I just wanted to say that RFK really just took the wind out of the vaccine situation in a way.
That's kind of remarkable, isn't it? And why do you think he did that?
Well, he fired everyone on the advisory committee who actually
Right. So the advisory committee that looks at the vaccines, at what should be recommended for Americans and what
exactly
vaccines should be taken up for this next year.
exactly. I mean, he basically said this unnecessary for women and healthy children to take the vaccine. I think it's really harsh on public health.
So, Catherine,
What?
are you saying the kids have to get sick before they can have
Well,
vaccines?
I evidently I don't know. I'm not
I
saying
was just being
that.
sarcastic.
I'm not saying that.
I'm sorry,
But anyway, no. But
RFK, no, RFK.
I know, in a nutshell, I mean, when hear the FDA commissioner talking about the vaccine advisory committee, basically is a kangaroo court where they just rubber stamp every single vaccine, and then by June 9th, RFK removed all the committee members. It was maddening.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're dismantling the vaccine. They're
Hmm.
dismantling the vaccine system in America.
Yes,
Well, the irony, what I was saying earlier, is like the irony of having to get sick before you can get a vaccine. The whole point of vaccines is to not get sick in the first place. So
exactly,
you give them to healthy people.
exactly,
But anyway, what are you going to
exactly.
do?
What are you gonna do?
You're going to pardon everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about pardons a little bit last week, and the difference between pardons and commencines and whatnot. And the whataboutism people are going to say, well, Biden pardoned people. Just for put things in context,
Mm-hmm.
over his entire administration, Biden pardoned 80 people. 80.
Okay.
80 pardons.
Okay.
They weren't full pardons like Trump is saying. Trump has done over 1,500 so far.
Yeah.
And Trump, literally, you pay him $1 million and he's selling pardons. So it's not exactly the same thing.
Great.
So what do we want to start with new for this week, Catherine? Do
I
we
don't
want to talk
know.
about
I
AI or
think
galleries?
why don't we just talk about AI? I think that's kind of interesting. It seems to be in the news a lot also.
Well, do you want to talk about like how good they've gotten the past couple of years, or how stupid the New York Times
I
is?
think both. Let's just go for it. All of it.
Well, okay. Well, we got to choose one to start with, unless you want to talk over each other. You talk about one thing and I'll talk about the other thing.
We were talking about AI and I can't it was maybe it was kind of follow up from last time and in terms of like the images. And I just found an
Uh-huh.
article and the article was from 2023. But I thought it was.
That was the only note that I had on that article, Catherine, that you sent me. This quote, mind-blowing image reveals how AI art has progressed in 1 year. And I'm looking at the article. I'm like, this is weird. This doesn't look right.
Well,
and then I noticed that it was 2023.
Well, that was my point, because even from the time that, even then, like there was, and I think it just seems to get better in terms of the generation. I mean, the generators, like every day, every time you generate new images for the podcast. I mean, you could look back to when we started.
Yes.
I mean, that's
Yes,
its
we
own
are,
testament. You're its own
We're a
timeline.
living record. We're a living record of AI development.
Exactly. And so, and you had asked me before, it's like, am I training it or is it training me? And that's a good question. I think that was interesting.
It works both ways to some degree. I know what to expect now, so I have my expectations, and I work towards that goal based on what I've seen before. So it's training me as much as I'm training it.
Right.
But the funny thing, I think the point you were trying to make, now that I understand it, because you sent this to me without any notes, is that 2 years ago is like ancient history.
It is. And it still was better than it was started.
Those models are like dinosaurs. We don't see dinosaurs. They're dead and buried. We don't see them. The 2-year-old AI is like 30 million year old crustaceans. It's like they just don't exist anymore. It's completely irrelevant.
Right.
And then you went on to send me a couple of articles that tested the best AI image generators of 2025.
Right, and they were all different. And that was my point. It's like, so what do you pick?
Oh, so the series of articles? No, I think they skewed towards kind of, Stable Diffusion or ChatGPT. I read that article 6 months ago, and it's no longer relevant.
That's how fast it's moving.
Because they didn't mention any of the current models.
That's the point. I know. They're all, and these were 2025 articles. This was something relatively recent.
From January.
Right. Right. And you were using a different model for the last podcast art, correct?
The last few I've moved over to Google. Initially, it was FX, but that was a month ago, Catherine.
I know.
So now I'm using Google Whisk.
Well, I think the images are better and better. So do you?
Oh, they are. Yeah.
So do you think?
I did the last one I did was a one-off. The very first response I got was the image I used.
That's awesome, and I like it. It was good.
Amazing.
It's actually very good.
Yeah, it was 100% what I had in my head.
And now it's reading your brain.
Well, 98% because the plane was a little messed up.
Yeah, the plane. Well, it's okay. And you said that the overalls weren't the right color red or something. That it read more brown.
It was close enough, right? It's like a little bit brown, but it's a little red.
Fine.
Is it burgundy? Is it brown? Whatever.
It was fine.
The one from CNET, the article I wanted to point out was the strange tone of that article was it sounded like they were talking about these image generators as if they were stable, known products,
right?
Which is just nonsense. Because they're not. It's like, oh, this is how it works. This is how you use it. These are the things that are out there now, without pointing out that it's a totally chaotic environment. Every day things change.
Every day things change.
It was hysterical that they spent months testing this. Bullshit.
I don't believe that either, because I think in a couple days, it seems to me that in a couple months it would have changed so markedly that anything prior would have been erased. I don't know.
I mean, it was very disappointing because this is CNET. They're actually a known quantity. They should be a higher end outlet, a more reliable, reputable outlet, but they're clearly not. This dispels any myth that CNET has any weight in the industry anymore, because they didn't even talk about Midjourney or Google Wisp or Google Image FX. So they're just a bunch of clowns. Yeah. And the last article I had a comment on too, because I don't know what you were seeing, but the article you sent me, they were talking about all these images.
Right.
They didn't show the images.
They didn't.
Where am I? What the hell's going on here?
It's just
I'm sorry.
It's just nonsense.
Yeah.
It's the internet. What are you going to do?
Well, I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to listen to this goddamn podcast, because this is the only place you're going to get the full skinny on what AI generators are doing right now.
Okay.
And you can see it when you look at the show art.
Yes. And so, in a nutshell, they're doing better, and the show art is magnificent.
How did that go? The guy that did the hair replacement, I'm not only a hair club for men president, I'm also a user.
A member.
Do you remember that guy? A member?
He was a member.
Yeah, it's like this. We're not only your image AI generator reporters, we're also your image AI generator overlord users.
Correct.
I don't know. That didn't make sense.
Overlord.
Whatever. Moving on. So do you think this is going to take over now that it's reading your mind? You said it was actually right from your brain to the virtual page. I didn't say right from my brain.
You did. You said it was in my brain, 98%. So now that it's reading your mind, James, are we going to go full iRobot?
Yes. No, 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 no. So
Oh
there's a
God.
lot of different takes on this right now, but what was that article? Which one were we looking at here? Was that the Axios? Yes, the Axios article.
Right.
Behind the curtain, what if they're right?
Mm-hmm.
And by them, they're talking not only about they're talking about the AI prognosticators, both the positive ones and the negative ones.
Right.
The ones that are saying it's going to save society, and the ones that it's going to doom society. And what did you think about the P doom equations that
I
they
thought
had?
PG. I thought this whole thing, in terms of the outlandish claim that large language models will exceed human intelligence. And what did I say? I mean, earlier I was thinking, God, does it take much to exceed human intelligence any longer? I mean, it seems like we've crossed some threshold where it really wouldn't take much. But this P doom, I looked at that and I just laughed. It's just kind of like T minus 20. One time I was working on a project.
Catherine,
We were
you.
converting. No, wait, we were converting
Oh, okay, go ahead.
software or something at one of the health plans I was working at, and the gal in charge would come. It's like, for the days to count down to the launch is T minus 20. I'm like, you're a nurse. Like, why are you talking like this? I thought of her when I saw P Doom and I just laughed because it was such bullshit. And A number one, I was thinking, where is the equation? What is P Doom? P Doom equals what?
Well, what is P doom?
I don't know. It's BS.
P doom is a likelihood of artificial intelligence destroying the human race.
Right. And it was given in percentages, and it's just ridiculous. And
Yeah. So the percentages, as you asked earlier, where's the math? No, they're just pulling the numbers out of their ass. It's the feeling they have as to whether or not these models are going to destroy humanity.
it's a feeling.
Just like the bullshit monitor you had on your nurse friend there, it's the same exact thing. These people don't know what they're doing. They just want to sound smart. And if they were really smart, they would shut the hell up and say things that made sense.
Right. But this catastrophizing for something that they created and wanted, and it's just like, what are you writing science fiction now? It's like, if it takes over human race, I don't know how good we're doing right now. So maybe it might be an improvement. I'm not saying I'm all for like
It
this,
could
but
be.
but it could be, but I think it was
But
just
here's the
totally
thing.
nutballs.
Quote from the article. Once the models can start to think and act on their own, what's to stop them from going rogue and doing what they want based on what they calculate is their self-interest? I thought that was an interesting quote because it's the same thing that comes up over and over and over again. They have an assumption of what artificial intelligence, like super artificial
Right.
intelligence that can genuinely think. They have an idea of what that looks like,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not really saying that. They're saying in essence, it's going to be like a human, and a super smart human. What if they were bad? Okay, but that's your model of intelligence. We're dealing with a totally different model of
Mm-hmm.
intelligence. We have no idea what it would be like.
Mm-hmm.
You're assigning values to something, moral values to something, and you have no idea what it actually would be like. There's no reason to assume that if we had superhuman intelligence, that it would at all look like a human intelligence. It could be radically different. Like an ant has a different intelligence than a human does.
Mm-hmm.
A bamboo, a bamboo, bamboo, a baboon. I
Bamboo.
don't think bamboo thinks very much. Baboons do think, and they have a different thought process.
Right.
Closer to ours, it could be completely alien and have morals that are completely different than our own.
It could be.
It's just weird that they think automatically that it's going to be a bad actor in the same way a human would be a bad actor.
But I think that's just the ego speaking of these nerds.
Mhm.
I mean, up in Silicon Valley, thinking, oh, if it's not us, it's got to be bad. Right?
Well, it's going to, no, I think their thought is it's going to be like us, so it's going to be bad.
Oh, maybe.
Because
they know
in
who
their
they
hearts,
are.
they're bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Well,
Like Elon Musk. If it was a super smart Elon Musk,
give me a break.
is that what you want?
No. But
Of course, they don't realize that if you're really smart, if you're that smart, you kind of understand how evil things are, and you don't do evil because evil is stupid.
exactly. And I just want to know how they're going to do this without their little fingers and toes. Just all virtual.
Fingers and toes.
Yeah, there's no, I mean, they're going to sit there in their little, I mean, what is this mind?
Who, the AIs?
Yeah, the AI.
Or the
AI.
creators?
There's no finger.
Okay. Oh yeah. Yes.
I mean, what are they going to manipulate? Data?
no, I think I understand what your point.
Yeah, just turn
but
it
your
off.
point is the same as mine. Is that since these are not squishy brains in a squishy vat like we are,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
These are completely different kinds of intelligence. It doesn't have the input that we have.
Right.
Like everything that we feel, we hear, we taste, we touch. We have memory that we process in a certain way. We have visual input that we process in a certain
Mm-hmm.
way. Then that AIs don't have that at all. And that is so important to how we think and how our brains work.
It is. And I think it's also
Th-
important in terms of how they interpret what AI is doing, because in one of the articles we were reading, it talked about they have the ability to hallucinate. They also have the ability to like trick almost their captors. I don't know if they're captors.
I
I
think
read the
I think
captors.
saying users.
Yeah.
I think saying that they hallucinate is really a disservice to what's happening. It's
Mm-hmm.
just getting it wrong.
Right.
That's not hallucination.
Right. Right. So we're using our
Or it's
language.
not even getting it wrong,
Right.
because these things aren't trying to be right or wrong. They're just putting words together to make you happy.
Exactly.
I feel like we've just spiraling out of control with this AI stuff.
We were spiraling, but that's okay.
But here's a related question for you, Catherine,
What?
that kind of put things in context. So, we live in a world based on physics regulated by physical laws of nature. Like it's a mechanical universe.
Mm-hmm.
You can figure out how something is going to happen if you know how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So it's predictive, right? It's a mechanical universe.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mechanism. It's all to plan, right? So in some sense, we don't have free will because it's all mechanical. We don't have control over our thoughts. They just
Mm-hmm.
arise in us from the chemical interactions of our brains.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's what the physicists think. A lot of them basically think it's a mechanical universe like that. That's completely predictable. If we knew enough of the inputs, we could predict everything.
I think so. I really do.
Okay.
I really do. Enough of that.
The high thinkers in this field still want to have free will,
Right.
or at least the semblance of free will. It's important to live like we have free will, because otherwise we can't really get through our days.
Mm-hmm.
There is an idea amongst these people, though, that we don't generally have free will, but we do have little slivers of free will. We can kind of push ourselves in the right direction. And I was thinking about the LLMs. Like an LLM is just a bucket of knowledge, a bucket of information. And if we were smart enough to understand how it worked, we could predict exactly what it was
Right.
going to do. But if you added just a tiny little bit of free will, the LLM could start to get better on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Even just like fractionally, even though I think it was only 1% better tomorrow than it is today, because it could push itself to being better,
Mm-hmm.
because it's just a little bit of free will. It's the same thing with us. It's like, even though we don't have much free will, that free will that we do exert changes the responses that we have tomorrow. So that we can push ourselves a little bit, and every day it keeps getting more, it keeps compound. It's like compound interest. It changes over time.
Okay.
It's why it takes a long time to do anything, to make any real effect on the
Mhm.
world. It's just my conceptual idea for the day.
That is good.
All right, galleries.
Oh gosh, yeah. I just wanted to comment that a legendary Phoenix gallery closing, the Bentley Gallery in downtown Phoenix, which has been a staple, of contemporary art scene here in the valley for
Have you ever been to the Bentley?
yeah, I'm not, and that's just why I'm talking out of my ass, which is like but I mean, it just hit like several art friends like called me and they're like, "Oh, the Bentley's closing." And then I called someone else. I'm like, "Did you know about the Bentley?" And she's like, "Yeah, I've never been there." It's terrible that I've never been there. And now I really, really regret it. But evidently, it has been a place that provided artists a place to flourish.
I don't know if that's true.
That's what they're saying. But anyway,
I know that's what they're saying, but they say a lot of bullshit, and I think this is more bullshit.
I don't know. I don't want to shit all over someone's 41-year history in the art world
Okay.
here.
I didn't want to either until I looked at their website
Yeah.
and started looking at the shows they've had.
Uh-huh.
And then I looked at the very first guy on their list of artists.
Oh, no.
This guy named William Anastasi.
Uh-huh.
I was not impressed. He makes drawings by not looking at the paper.
I think I
Just
saw
scribbles.
that. I think I saw that.
Okay, so he gets on the train. He lives in New York, so he gets on the subway.
Mhm.
And he just sits there and scribbles. And basically, it's just the movement of the train that's moving his hand. And there's one scribble on one side of the page, and there's a scribble on the other side of the page.
Okay.
That's it. And you know what? This boy, I was about to swear again. His quote is, I'm going to quote this. This is like the first thing I read on their website. In 1968, Andy Warhol, so obviously I'm immediately
Oh,
triggered.
my God.
Andy Warhol exhibited at the Philadelphia Museum of Fine Arts.
Mhm.
Since Warhol's show was seminal in the development of pop art, there was a lingering presence that could not be denied even after the work, Andy Warhol's painting, was no longer in the space. Anastasi went to a sign maker and had a plaque made that read, "A painting of a soup can used to hang here. The reference to the soup can and the fact that the sign was not made by the artist was a development of Warhol's subject matter as well as Duchampian. I can't even say that word. It was pure genius. An edition of this work was reproduced years later. End quote.
Okay.
And that's what the Bentley is all about. It's bullshit art. So I'm not really sad to see them go.
Oh,
And
I
honestly,
don't think if you've
I
never been
kinda
there, I don't think you can say that, James. Let's not get negative.
okay, but I've looked through the artists, and not all of them were terrible, but most of their shows were this this minimalist, non-objective bullshit that we've been rehashing for
Right.
70 years now.
Right.
I think that stuff needs to die. I think we need to move to a new iteration, some new form of art. And I'm kind of glad that it's old and rehashed. We need to move on.
Well, they're moving on, and I
felt like that whole article, the whole paragraph. I just felt like they're mocking us. It's like he's talking about he's having a sign painter make a sign about something that was a soup can.
Is that the thing that said a picture of a soup can used to hang here?
Yes.
Well, anyway, the Bentley's closing. James is happy.
So, like I said,
a lot of people are not.
I'm not sad to see it go. I think we should revel in the fact that this kind of vapid, empty bullshit art is dying. It's finally time that we can move on.
But what is going to
That's my
replace
hope.
it? I mean, this has been the world.
There are great artists out there
Uh-huh.
working today, making beautiful paintings, and sculpture, and music, and dance, and all kinds of things. And it's not this old crap. It's not this old regurgitated crap that we've seen for 70 years. That's what my hope is that we can move on to something new and exciting and vibrant and relevant to today.
All right.
Ugh. To finish up the thought on the Bentley, there was one kind of positive thing is I found this YouTube channel, which hasn't posted anything for over 10 years, but they just were, it was kind of interesting because they had, I watched this 11-minute interview with William Anastasi. And they have 100 other videos interviewing artists, and it's talking directly to the artists, so it's kind of interesting. Another one was with Sarah. I can't remember Sarah's first name, but the sculptor who does the steel, who I've always kind of liked. And half of what he said I found really interesting, and half of what I said I thought was really dumb.
Okay,
but that's fine. It was interesting to see. New Art TV.
Okay,
we'll have a link in the show notes.
Okay, New Art TV. Okay, good. So anyway, I looked online to see if there were any galleries that were going to replace the Bentley, and I didn't really find anything. Is the art world in Phoenix upending itself? I mean, what's happening?
I've never understood the art world here. I've never been able to really connect with it, even though I had a gallery for like 3 months during 2020 before everything got locked down thanks to the pandemic.
Right. I don't understand what's happening. But it doesn't appear that anything will be replacing the Bentley currently.
Well, we do have other small, the Hive here. There's a Hive down the street as opposed to the Hive that you were about to talk about. The interesting people hang out there.
We should check it out.
And then
I should probably get out more.
I have checked it out.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah, you should.
I haven't been out of this house in 5 years.
One big gallery is closing, but there have always been dozens of small little galleries that pop up and then go out of existence. Some of them stay longer than others. It's just part of the art world. And here in Phoenix, I think it really is very disjointed. Even though they have their first Fridays. I think their first Fridays are very badly run.
Right. And even I got on the ArtLink website and it was hard to track. So I was looking at some of these things online yesterday and the day before yesterday. I'm like, am I missing something? Is my brain not functioning? Or is there just like gobs of information missing? Like it was hard to track anything. I didn't understand the gallery's purposes. I didn't understand their missions. Like what kind of art what are you doing? And so
that's bad marketing.
So that's kind of my frustration. To be kinder to the Bentley, I mean, I actually feel kind of bad. I mean, if it was such a force, and they're here for 41 years, people know them. Several friends of mine were very, very sad that it was closing, had personal relationships with the people who run it. And I thought, God, is it my bad or what that I never went there? But I never recall seeing any media or anything unless, I mean, is it like, do you have to be in the inner nook to find out what the hell's going on? I mean,
I think you didn't have enough money for them to be interested in you.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. I don't know.
It's very clear to me, Catherine, that you have a distinct nose for finding like genuine things.
Right.
You wandered in and out of the art world for a couple of decades here in Phoenix, and you always found kind of the more interesting,
I never heard of this place. I know.
Genuine things. Yeah, but that's because that's not the same. You're not the market. You're looking for like creative expression, and that's not what the Bentley was selling. The Bentley was trying to sell you basically Warhol stuff. Not Warhol specifically, but the rehashed mid-century, non-objective, minimalist nonsense that they've been, and that's easy to sell to rich people because they don't know what they're buying.
Well, they did start in Scottsdale. That was the genesis,
Right.
and then they expanded to the warehouse district, and then eventually moved there. And I do find the Scottsdale art scene pretty lame. I don't know,
What, you don't
boring.
like cowboy paintings?
I don't like cowboy. I don't like any of that stuff, and I don't like the pretension that goes along with it. Like we're
Right.
supposed to. You walk in and you instantly feel uncomfortable. It's like certain galleries in Sedona are the same way.
Right. I didn't go to the Bentley. I can't. But based on their website, it's the pretension. That is probably the most pretentious gallery that was in Phoenix.
Right. Like I'm much more comfortable at modified arts down on Roosevelt Row.
Mm-hmm. Where they're making stuff.
Where they're actually they're local and they're expressing, and 515 was a good one. Used to be, I think there's probably still on Grand. I don't know. There are the little places. Our place had a lot of potential. I'm still sad about that.
Yeah, potential, but
it's over.
COVID killed it.
Yeah, COVID killed it.
Can give you some homework, Catherine, which you're not going to be able to complete. I want you to go to all the galleries that you used to haunt and see if they're still up there and see what they're doing now.
Well, I'll have to do that on the first Friday, won't I?
No, just get in your car and go down there.
They're not always open during the week. Sometimes on Saturdays. I'll look up some things and see what's going on. Yeah, there's a couple places that I really did like down on Roosevelt, and maybe one or two on Grand that are not popping in my head right now. I think 515 moved to Grand.
Go look them up. Chase them down.
I will.
Figure out what's out there.
I will.
Do a complete analysis of the art world here in Phoenix.
Okay.
Is the Bentley closed now, or do they still have that one last show going on?
There's one last show. They're shuttering for good on September 13th. And I almost feel like I should.
You should go down.
Yeah, I think I will go down. Seems disingenuous to talk about them and not have ever been there.
This is what I want you to do, Catherine.
What?
Are you ready to take notes?
Yeah.
I want you to strut in there, and I want you to look at a painting and ask the curator, how much is that one? And when they give you the prices, no, I don't want anything that cheap. I want something good.
Oh my God.
$20,000, nothing. No, I want something
Oh
good.
my
Where's the
God.
good stuff?
Enough already.
So did you go to the protest last week?
I didn't. Did you?
My son did.
Yeah.
No, I went the day after.
What, the day after?
Does that count?
The day after.
Yeah, I rode down there. I rode down to the Capitol on Sunday, the day after the protest.
Oh, good.
It was very quiet. I loved it. It was very nice.
Oh, did you wear did you have your banner, like no kings or?
No, I was wearing my cycling jersey.
Okay.
So, but my son went. But I just thought that we should mention it because, we're recording on June 19th.
Mm-hmm. It's Juneteenth.
Did you know that
Juneteenth.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I did know that.
Okay.
I did know that.
Last week we recorded on Friday the 13th and didn't say anything about it.
Mm-hmm. I know we did.
Should have had a Friday the 13th show.
Yeah, Friday the 13th. Wow. Yeah, the protests. Friends were sending me photos from, Minnesota. That was a horrible tragedy, and they had canceled all the state protests. And my friends went anyway. They went anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, screw it, we're going anyway. So I got some really cool pictures from Minnesota. And of course my Tucson buddies always protest. So the protest queens and kings, as it were. And they were out.
Tucson.
They were out and about.
Minnesota.
Yeah. But no, I didn't go. I'm not much of a protest person.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, this is our 99th episode.
Yeah.
What do you have planned for our 100th?
I was going to ask you that. What do you want to do?
I don't know. I don't care.
We could do a recap of all the highlights and just do
oh boy,
excerpts of our audio.
A fill-in. Oh, we ran out of a budget, so we're just gonna reuse clips from old shows.
Yeah, ran out of a budget.
That sounds stupid.
This is a budgetless proposition here.
Yeah.
No, I mean we had some
very
good
expensive
quote.
Podcast, Catherine.
We had some good quotes.
Very expensive. You need to send money if you want to keep listening to this nonsense.
Send money.
Very expensive to run this podcast. Costs lots of money. Pennies a day. Pennies a day.
Oh gosh.
You don't pay for any of this shit, though. You don't pay for the hosting. You don't pay for the domain name.
Well, why don't I?
Because it doesn't cost that much.
Okay. Well, I don't know. We could do that. That's my thought process.
No, that's dumb. I don't know what we're gonna do. We're certainly not gonna rehash the stuff that we've done before.
Oh, because it might bring everyone up to speed.
Well, they can just listen to it. It's all still there.
Yeah, it is all still there. It's all on YouTube. I'm very impressed to see our little stuff on
Oh
YouTube
yeah, YouTube
with
Schnoop.
our
It's
two
YouTube Schnootube.
listeners,
Snooze tube.
our two listeners on YouTube.
I don't know what that
Two
means.
views, 2 views.
Oh, 2 views. That was one. They've got more than that. You
Okay,
silly.
okay. Anyway, so
Thousands, 2,000 reviews, views.
we'll think
Oh
of
God, I
something
can't
else
even
to
talk
slam
anymore.
next
You
week.
know that whole tech stuff this morning just got me, wasted me. I think I need to go take a nap.
I need a nap badly. I didn't sleep again last
All right,
night. So
nap time.
okay,
Goodbye.
bye.